connect to. What would you say about that? Like, what are some strategies and things you can do?
First, I would say be real with yourself, and ask yourself if you're willing to do the work to actually build an authentic relationship. And also, are you a real friend? That's the question I had to really sit in, because I was seeing all the girls' trips on Facebook, and I was like, oh, God, I want friends like that. Like, I want to go on trips. And he said, no, you don't. So, I was arguing with God a little bit. I was like, I'm that child, right? And so I was like, yes, I do. No, you don't. Because you're not willing to put in the work to build those kind of relationships. And so, because I truly desired it, the first work that I had to do was with myself. Within myself, because I had trust issues that I was calling the gift of discerning spirits. We get real deep, right? So I wanted to call it everything except for what it really was. I was wounded, I hadn't healed, and so I actually wasn't in a position to foster healthy friendships. And so I took the time to do the work because I wanted to make sure that when I attracted what I believe is a covenant connection, I believe that covenant connections are currency. And so my life has increased, in multiple ways since being connected to the two of them, but it wouldn't have been possible had I not done the work on myself.
Good. Similar to what Dr. Dean said, but I want to go back to my relationship with Jasmine, because she actually taught me how to be a friend. So I started speaking probably about 10 years ago. So when I was speaking in all of my mastermind groups and all of my programs, all of my coaching, I was usually the only woman. So when you're in that group, when you're working with high-level executives, you're working with a lot of sports professionals, and you're the only woman, there's not a lot of women in that space that are talking friendship. And in all the circles that I was already in, I was the smart one. I was the one everybody was coming to when they had a problem, the strong friend. I was the one people were always asking business advice, so I felt like I always had to be the expert in that space. So I realized, moving from the 6-figure space to 7 figures, that I needed women that were aligned and locked and loaded into God like I was.
Yes.
And I actually started praying. So when God sent Jasmine to me, he sent her to me as a client. And immediately, when I started working with her from client to coach, I'm like, I don't want to be her coach no more. Like, I don't know how to tell her, like, I don't want to work with you. I want to be your friend. Because I saw Jasmine, like, number one, she loved God. Number two, she was a true Proverbs 31 woman. And I'm like, girl, I ain't like that. but I was inspired by her. Like, here I was the teacher, but I was inspired by the student. So I realized that my coaching relationship with her would have to shift because I really wanted a friendship with her. And once it ended, I was like, Jazz, you are everything I've been praying for as a friend. Because I needed someone, because let's be real, when you're working in a heavy male industry like I worked all the time. I was the girl putting in 67 hours a week as an executive. I had young kids, I was traveling all the time. 70-80% of my work week was spent in the airport. And I needed to find somebody that, number one, they wouldn't judge me, but they matched my work ethic. And this girl, she exceeds my work ethic. She puts me to shame. But I needed somebody that understood that mindset of work, that understood that mindset of sewing. So that's how that relationship, but it really started with me identifying what I needed as a friend and what I wanted, and really praying to God about and trusting him to bring that.
And I know at least